You know that feeling, right? You settle onto the couch, you're truly exhausted, ready to unwind,
Yeah.
and you open your favorite streaming service. 20 minutes later, you're still scrolling. Endless rows of thumbnails.
Feeling more frustrated and stressed than when you started. Definitely.
Exactly. You've just spent precious cognitive energy deciding what not to watch, and usually you give up or pick something random.
It's the perfect, like, modern-day symptom of what Barry Schwartz called the paradox of choice.
Ah, right.
We assume that infinite choice equals freedom, but Schwartz, well, he points out that overwhelming abundance can actually become detrimental.
Detrimental to our psychological and emotional well-being.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
creates anxiety and paralysis.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to dive deep into exactly why having too many options causes stress, regret, and that crippling decision fatigue we all feel sometimes. We're pulling sources from, seminal works on the paradox of choice, studies in consumer psychology, and some fascinating recent research too.
Yeah, looking at decision-making in environments ranging from, like, streaming video services all the way to emergency rooms. Really interesting stuff.
Okay, so let's start with the scale of it all.
Yeah.
This curse of abundance.
Right. Historically, choice has just exploded across every domain you can think of.
From how we invest our retirement savings
Yeah, 401k.
to just buying a simple piece of clothing, like jeans.
Oh, definitely. It's staggering when you look at the raw numbers, even from a couple of decades ago, before the internet really, maximized everything.
I saw one source break down the math on stereo systems back then. It was something like 74 tuners, 55 CD players, 50 sets of speakers. When you combine those, you get over 6 million. 6,512,000 different configurations.
6 million options just to listen to music.
It's dizzying, isn't it? That kind of raw possibility.
And that's the moment. That's when choice stops being a benefit and starts being a psychological cost. This explosion of options, while it seems good theoretically, often produces, well, shocking behavioral results when you test it in the real world.
Like the classic jam study.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of them is most cited, right?
It is. It's a fantastic anecdote.
I love this experiment because it's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So they set up a tasting booth, offering different varieties of jam.
Simple enough.
When they offered the large display, 24 different jars, it actually attracted significantly more people. About 60% of shoppers came over.
Okay, makes sense. More variety draws a crowd.
But the smaller display, only 6 options, that only attracted 40% of the shoppers.
So far, so good for more choice. But here's the critical insight.
Yeah.
The large array drew people in with the promise of variety, sure, but it paralyzed them when it actually came time to commit.
Paralyze them.
Of the people who approached that big 24 jam table, only 3%, actually made a purchase.
Only 3%. Wow. But conversely, at the small table, the one with just 6 options, a massive 33% of people bought jam. 10 times more.
Exactly. It makes you realize sometimes having fewer jams means having a much better afternoon,
Yeah. The large selection is the hook. The promise of finding the perfect jam.
But the cognitive load, the sheer effort of evaluating all the trade-offs between 24 jams, it just paralyzes us.
And this freeze response, this plays out constantly in modern digital lives, doesn't it? Especially with subscription video on demand, SVOD.
Oh, absolutely. Where the inventory feels truly endless.
And we want the abundance, ironically. Unsteady found the #1 reason people subscribe to these services is the broad range of movies and TV shows.
51% of respondents said that.
But then they can't actually handle the inventory they asked for.
Precisely. Viewers still need a reference point, something to guide them. And what happens? They fall back on old linear TV habits.
Meaning?
Instead of using the fancy search filters or personalized recommendations, they just endlessly scan the rows and thumbnails. Like channel surfing, but, worse.
It's a highly inefficient way to pick something.
Yeah.
And it just ramps up the frustration.
Totally. And that frustration is concentrated in the younger demographic. Data shows the 18 to 34 age group, they're the most likely to experience strong choice frustration.
And they often don't even know what they want to watch before opening the platform.
Right. They've internalized this idea that they must find the best possible entertainment among the thousands of options. And when they can't,
The system becomes a source of stress, not leisure.
exactly. And that anxiety, that need to find the best, brings us to the sort of internal mechanism that dictates how we deal with all these choices.
Huh.
The split between maximizing and satisficing. We're moving from the external problem, too many options, to the internal psychology of how we cope.
Right. So when we look inward, how do we categorize our own approach?
Right.
Using the concepts laid out by Herbert Simon and then Barry Schwartz. What's the core difference?
Okay, so the maximizer. This is the person striving for the maximal benefit, the absolute best choice, always.
Which means?
It requires an exhaustive search of all possibilities, constantly comparing every single potential outcome, which, let's be honest, is often logically impossible in a world of 6 million stereo configurations.
Or infinite streaming options. Okay, so that's the maximizer and the alternative. The pragmatic one?
That's the Satisficer.
Satisficer, okay.
The Satisficer operates using what Simon called an aspiration level. They pursue an option that is simply good enough. It meets a predetermined standard.
And once they find one like that?
Search stops immediately. Their goal is adequate, not necessarily optimal. Good enough is good enough.
Okay, so logic might tell us the maximizer should always come out ahead.
Yeah.
They put in all that effort to find the peak choice.
And sometimes, objectively speaking, they do. Our sources show that job seekers with greater maximizing tendencies, well, they were offered an average of $7,430 more in salary.
Wow, $7,000 more. So the maximizing effort can pay off? In cold hard cash, anyway.
That's the objective victory, yes. But here's the catch. The cognitive cost. While maximizers might achieve better objective outcomes, like that salary, they report significantly worse subjective outcomes.
Worse subjective outcomes, like what?
Lower life satisfaction, less happiness, less optimism, lower self-esteem, and significantly more regret and even measurable depression.
So they might earn more, but they feel worse about it and about life in general.
That seems to be the trade-off, and it's deeply tied to their relationship with regret and comparison.
How so?
Well, it's kind of a perpetual cycle. Maximizing is strongly correlated with regret because they constantly compare and evaluate options even after choosing.
They're always wondering, what if?
Exactly. They feel regret when they realize, or crucially, when they merely imagine, that a better option might have existed. Which, let's face it, is almost always possible when your standard is the absolute best.
And that regret is a cognitive habit linked directly to negative mood.
Yes. And they're almost slaves to social comparison because they need that external validation. How else do you know if you truly achieved the best?
You have to see what everyone else got.
Precisely. Which makes them highly vulnerable to negative feelings from upward comparison, seeing a colleague or a neighbor or just someone on Instagram who seems better off or got a better outcome.
Right. And the research adds a fascinating layer here, doesn't it, about visible products.
Yeah, this is really interesting. For highly visible products like laptops or cars, maximizers are actually more likely than satisficers to choose an objectively inferior product.
Inferior? Why would they do that?
If that inferior product comes with a higher relative social position. Meaning they'd rather have a slightly worse laptop that's still better than all their friends' laptops than a technically superior laptop that doesn't win them that top spot in their social circle.
Wow. So that demonstrates their drive isn't purely about quality. It's positional. It's about winning the choice game, socially.
It seems that way for certain things. It's about status relative to others.
Which leads us directly into that modern social anxiety we feel today, the one encapsulated by FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Coined back in 2004, but feels more relevant than ever.
Definitely.
FOMO is like the emotional cousin of maximizing, isn't it? It centers on that anxiety that comes from the perception that something better is out there.
Often fueled by those idealized images we see plastered all over social media.
Exactly. And when that maximizing impulse gets triggered over and over by endless checking and comparing online,
you burn through a critical cognitive resource.
You got it. Which leads us directly to the functional result of this whole struggle, decision fatigue.
Okay, decision fatigue. It's the strain of making continuous choices,
Yep.
right? Which diminishes our ability to make rational, quality choices later on.
Yeah, it's not just being tired in general. It's a specific depletion of the ability to regulate our behavior, to exert self-control.
And the depletion leads to what? Impulsiveness?
Impulsiveness, yeah. Diminished self-regulation. Or, going back to the JAM study, that freeze response, decision avoidance. just shutting down.
And this isn't just about scrolling Netflix or picking jam. This has serious real-world consequences and high-stakes professional environments.
Absolutely critical ones.
The example that really stands out here is the shocking data involving physicians in emergency departments.
Right. Researchers use the cumulative number of patients a physician treated during a shift as sort of an index for their decision fatigue.
And what did they find?
They found that for every 10 patients a doctor had already seen in that shift, the likelihood of them admitting the next patient dropped by almost 12% from the sample mean.
12% lower chance of admission for every 10 previous patients. That's significant.
Think about that. That's decision fatigue literally changing a patient's medical trajectory. It suggests the doctor, as they get worn down, might unconsciously opt for the easier decision.
The path of least resistance, like the no admission choice.
Potentially. Because their capacity for complex risk evaluation is just worn down over the shift.
Wow. That illustrates exactly how finite this mental resource is, the cumulative strain of high-stakes choices.
It really does. And the economic implications are similar, though maybe less dramatic. Overcomplicated choices can cause customers to just decide not to purchase at all.
Choice overload bias, right?
Yep. That person doesn't buy a car today, maybe feels overwhelmed by the financing options or trim levels, and that failure to make a decision actually makes them less likely to try again in the future.
Okay, so it's a real problem. How do we mitigate this, both businesses and, us as individuals? What strategies work against choice exhaustion?
Well, businesses have become extremely effective at solving the problem for you because it's bad for them, too, if you don't choose.
How so?
Companies like Netflix and Spotify, they invest heavily in recommendation algorithms, bestsellers sections, recommended for you, all designed specifically to reduce choice fatigue.
By curating and shortening the list of available options.
Exactly. They know the biggest hurdle is just getting you past that first 30 seconds of browsing paralysis, get you watching something.
And this is why we see certain content strategies dominate, isn't it? Like the huge emphasis on serialized content, binge-watching TV series.
Oh, absolutely. It's a purposeful strategy to reduce decision fatigue. Once you, the viewer, make that initial commitment to start episode 1 of a series,
You're off the hook. No more big choices for hours, maybe days.
right, you're off the discovery treadmill for a long time. The goal shifts from discovery to just flow. Keep watching the next one. Much less cognitive load.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about personally? How can we take back control of our own cognitive fuel tank?
We basically need to become more conscious satisficers in many areas of life. We need to create routines, make small decisions automatic.
Like eating the same breakfast every weekday or committing to the same workout routine.
Exactly. That energy saved on the small stuff can then be spent on the decisions that truly matter, free up bandwidth.
We can adopt concrete rules too. Like I've heard of people using a 2 options is my limit rule.
Yeah, for things like, buying soap or choosing a coffee brand, just limit the field yourself. Don't even look at the other 20 options.
And what about managing bigger decisions?
Yeah.
Prioritizing.
The Eisenhower matrix is a powerful tool there. Classifying decisions, urgent, important, important, not urgent, etc.
To ensure high focus, high energy tasks get done when our cognitive energy is actually high.
Right. Instead of wasting that peak morning energy on trivial choices first thing.
Ultimately, though, the advice seems deeply psychological. It's about mindset.
It really is. We need to recalibrate our expectations about choice. And maybe focus more on gratitude for the chosen option.
Instead of constantly feeling disappointment about the foregone alternatives, the what-ifs.
Precisely. Recognize that happiness often depends less on achieving the absolute objective best outcome, and far more on your internal satisfaction level with the choice you actually made, being content with good enough.
Exactly. It sounds like you have the power to choose your decision-making style, in a way.
You do.
You can take the maximizing path, high effort, high social comparison, high chance of regret and anxiety.
Or you can take the satisficing path, less effort, focus on finding the good enough, and likely achieve higher subjective happiness, peace of mind.
And the research seems pretty clear. The maximizer sometimes gets objectively better outcomes, like that higher salary.
But consistently yields worse subjective feelings. Chronic regret, lower satisfaction. That's the trade-off.
So the key question for you, the listener, to maybe explore is this. Can you be strategic about it? Can you selectively apply maximizing tendencies only to domains where objective victory truly matters most to you, like maybe key career negotiations.
And then consciously choose to be a satisficer in other domains, where subjective peace and just feeling good is paramount, like your daily consumption, your hobbies, your digital entertainment choices.
You have to choose which battlefield is worth your finite cognitive energy, right? Which choices deserve that maximizing effort, and which ones are better served by just finding something good enough and moving on.